Well, I have sort of a variety of American music here to perform for you tonight. I'm going to start with the oldest piece on the program. This is from the 1580s. It's been popular for a few hundred years, over 400 years maybe. It's originally an English song, so it comes to us from Europe. And most early American music came to us from Europe. After the Civil War, there was a new text added to this song, so it becomes the Christmas carol called "What Child Is This?" Originally, it's Greensleeves. So I'm going from the oldest piece to the newest piece. The next one is called Shoken Farewell. And this is from the 1960s. It's written by a composer and violinist named J. Unger. And he's still around writing a lot of music. This piece originally is sort of a lament to the end of summer when Jay would put on this fiddle camp and all of his students and friends would attend this camp. At the end of the summer they would all leave, and it was sort of a bittersweet moment. So he wrote this piece in that moment. A lot of people recognize it nowadays because it's become the theme song of the Ken Burns documentary, The Civil War. a set of African American spirituals I'm going to do next. And the first one is called Go Down Moses. It was first published in 1872, but probably considerably older than that. And all of these have texts. I'm not going to torture you with my singing or anything, so I'm just doing the instrumental versions tonight. Originally, this is based on a biblical story in the Old Testament of God commanding Moses to go to the Pharaoh in Egypt and demand the Israelites be set free. And the parallel with American slavery is pretty clear. Similar sort of message here. So this is Go Down Moses, arranged for solo guitar. All right, so the next one I have here, another spiritual, is called Roll, Jordan, Roll. And this one was recorded in the early 1900s by a group of singers called the Fisk Jubilee Singers. They were the first African-American a cappella singing group that in the late 1800s and early 1900s toured the U.S. and they toured Europe, and they really brought these spirituals to a broader audience and really popularized a lot of them. So this one is Roll, Jordan, Roll. next one here is Joshua fought the Battle of Jericho. Again, another spiritual based on an Old Testament story of Joshua leading the Israelites into the Battle of Jericho. Probably, again, some pretty clear metaphors here for slavery in the U.S. Well, the last of the spirituals here is the most modern one, and it's called Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen. It's sort of an unknown origin, but it was really made popular in the early 1900s with, most notably with Louis Armstrong, who recorded it and sang this one. And I should just mention the history of the spiritual goes back to the 1700s. In Savannah, Georgia, was the first independent African church where the congregation could come and they were free to worship. And a lot of those songs were dated, or a lot of spirituals were dated at least to that origin and probably well before that. And sort of the idea, which is very interesting to me, is that congregation would take songs, existing melodies, and add new texts to them, or new words. And that was sort of the way you would create one of these spirituals or one of these songs. And I always try to put these connections in music together. So it was pretty interesting to me that that's the same way that sort of jazz happened. That we take these standard tunes, maybe from Broadway or from wherever, and jazz musicians would take them and alter them and improvise and create new melodies. And that was sort of the format. And today, it happens the same way in sort of rap and hip-hop music, which is interesting because, you know, there's always this sampling of older music. So it's always using something old and creating something new with these ingredients. To me, that's a pretty interesting concept in a way that this stuff becomes art. So this is the last of the set of spirituals here. Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen. So the last one I'm going to do is, nowadays it's more of a jazz tune, and it's appropriate for the season. It's called Summertime, and it's originally written by George Gershwin for his opera in the 1930s called Porgy and Bess. And this tune, as it worked out in the opera, was an aria. So it was originally meant as a solo song, and it was sung by the character Bess. So this is Summertime. Now it's continued to be popular, but more in a jazz and popular format of playing. So again, sort of a song from the past used in a new way, improvising with it and changing it often, as I'll do tonight.
Thank you all very much. What a pleasure to come play in such a nice setting. A beautiful setting, I hope, will inspire me to play beautifully. We can only hope. Justin did a wonderful job, I thought, and played some beautiful stuff. Dustin. Excellent. He also took the high road and said that he wasn't going to torture you with his singing. I don't know. I suspect he probably sings probably pretty well, and he's being modest. You won't be as fortunate with me. I will torture you with singing. And in fact, I think the U.S. Army has asked me to help train commandos, sing to them so they can get used to extreme forms of torture in case they're ever captured. No, actually, I'm just kidding. My singing is not as bad as it sounds. So. I will start out with some guitar music, and as you see here, play some fiddle music for you, and try to kind of give a broad overview of some of the music that this region is so blessed with, from the people that settled this region that came from German ancestry and Irish and Scottish and English ancestry and African ancestry. And they came to this region in the mountains, and they mixed and mingled these various music forms. And we have, thankfully today, this tradition of very much a living, breathing tradition. It's got great history to it, but the beautiful thing about it is every night of the week, somewhere in country stores and in back porches and all over the place, people are still making this music that they've been handed down. It's been here for a couple of centuries now. So we'll try to dabble in a lot of different things, and let me start out. I'll play something that this is a style of guitar, sometimes called Piedmont style. It's finger picking in a style that was a lot of the early recordings of black artists that were doing string guitar, and they were borrowing from piano music and ragtime and things. So I'll play some of those things tonight. But first, this is just kind of a fun thing. It comes from about 1927. This is Low Stokes and his North Georgians, and it's a funny little tune called "I Wished I'd Have Bought Me a Half a Pint and Stayed in the Wagon Yard." Jolly farmer, last night I came to town to bring a bale of cotton. I'd worked the whole year round. I put my team in the wagon yard and I bought me a bottle of gin. I went out to see the electric lights and watch the cars come in. Well, I met a dude out on the street, that clock was striking 9. He says, "Come on, old hayseed, take a drink, it's fine." Well, I must have bought a dozen drinks, cause it hit my pocketbook hard. I wished I'd have bought me a half a pint and stayed in the wagon yard. I'm a deacon in the Hartshill Church down near Possum Trot. If the sisters hears about my spree, it's bound to make them hot. I went out on a party, I led the pace that kills. When I woke up, that gang had gone and left me all the bills. Well, I found them over on the corner near Soul Salvation Hall. That drunken bunch was out there singing, "Jesus paid it all." They put me out in a dry goods box, Lord, my pillow was hard. I wished I'd have bought me a half a pint and stayed in the wagon yard. Farmer, do-do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Don't mess around with them city ducks, you'll find them slick as lard. Just go and get you a half a pint and stay in the wagon yard. Just go and get you a half a pint and stay in the wagon yard. So that's a style of playing guitar. The thumb kind of keeps a steady rhythm and the fingers pick out the melody. This next song gives me a chance to do a little of that, but also demonstrate another guitar style from this region. And that was the Carter family, A.P. Carter, his wife Sarah, and Mother Maybelle, as she's known, had a profound, their music had a profound impact on America's music, to the extent that they're now called the first family of country music. And they were actually, their first recordings were made in 1927 in Bristol, Virginia, which is why Bristol, Virginia is now called the birthplace of country music, so designated by the U.S. Congress. And a fellow by the name of Ralph Peer came down from New York. The record companies at about that time were discovering that there was a market, there was money to be made in rural country music. And so they were seeking out musicians, and Ralph Peer came down from the Victor Talking Machine Company. He set up shop in a hat factory in Bristol and put an ad in the paper. They were auditioning for musicians. And lo and behold, the sidewalks filled up, and included in the group on the sidewalk was the Carter family and Jimmy Rogers, of father of country music fame now. And Mother Maybelle had a particular guitar style where she played the melody not on the small strings, she played the melody in the bass strings. And so I'll be able to demonstrate that a little bit. And really my just about favorite song ever. This is called Shady Grove. It's always evokes this region to me, the mountains and so forth. I'll pick it a little bit first, the old Piedmont guitar finger picking style, and then you'll hear I'll do a little bit the way Mother Maybelle's style would go for it. Shady Grove, my true love, Shady Grove, I say. Shady Grove, my true love, I'm bound to go away. Cheeks as red as a blooming rose, and eyes the prettiest brown. She's the darling of my heart, sweetest little girl in town. Shady Grove, my true love, Shady Grove, I say. Shady Grove, my true love, I'm bound to go away. Of wine, bread and meat for two, I'd spread them out on a golden plate and give it all to you. Peaches in the summertime and apples in the fall. If I can't have the one I love, then I don't want none at all. Shady Grove, my true love, Shady Grove, I say. Shady Grove, my true love, I'm bound to go away. Some come here to tarry, some come here to fiddle and dance. I came here to marry. Shady Grove, my true love, Shady Grove, I say. Shady Grove, my true love, I'm bound to go away. Shady Grove, my true love, Shady Grove, I say. Shady Grove, my true love, I'm bound to go away, bound to go away. was a fella that tramped all around the country collecting music, and Smithsonian recently did a wonderful issuance of a lot of his recordings, Woody Guthrie. And he did, this next song is one of his, called The Oklahoma Hills, if I can call it to mind. First verse.
Way down yonder.
That's the chorus. Way down yonder in the Indian Nation, the cowboy's life is my occupation. In the Oklahoma hills where I was born. Way down yonder in the Indian Nation, rode my pony on the reservation. In the Oklahoma hills where I was born. But as I sit here today, many miles I am away from the place I rode my pony through the draw, where the oak and blackjack trees kiss the very playful breeze. Oklahoma hills where I was born. Way down yonder in the Indian Nation, I rode my pony on the reservation. In the Oklahoma hills where I was born. Way down yonder in the Indian Nation, a cowboy's life is my occupation. In the Oklahoma hills where I was born. As I turned life a page to the land of the great Osage, in the Oklahoma hills where I was born, where the black oil rolls and flows and the snow white cotton grows. In the Oklahoma hills where I was born. Way down yonder in the Indian Nation, I rode my pony on the reservation. In the Oklahoma hills where I was born. Way down yonder in the Indian Nation, a cowboy's life is my occupation. In the Oklahoma hills where I was born. Way down yonder in the Indian Nation, I rode my pony on the reservation. In the Oklahoma hills where I was born. Way down yonder in the Indian Nation, a cowboy's life is my occupation. In the Oklahoma hills where I was born. There was a wonderful blues musician by the name of Mississippi John Hurt, and he was recorded in the 1920s for a record label called OK Records, and they just had moderate commercial success. He recorded those in New York, and so he went back to Mississippi, back to sharecropping and farming and playing his guitar for house dances and so forth for 30-some years until, as people like to call it, the folk scare of the 60s came along, and people became interested in and were discovering these old recordings and become interested in these people who had made them. And a guy by the name of Tom Hoskins wondered what in the world ever happened to this fellow named Mississippi John Hurt, and the one clue he had was in 1927, Mississippi John Hurt had recorded a song called Avalon, My Hometown. And so Tom went to Avalon, Mississippi, thinking that was a pretty good lead, and sure enough, found Mississippi John Hurt alive and well, still playing music and working the farms. And so he essentially brought him out of obscurity and got him playing in folk clubs and colleges, and eventually at the Newport Folk Festival. And John was a huge, huge hit, and people couldn't believe that this treasure of music had been sitting down there in obscurity for all that length of time. So I'll play a little bit of his style. Now he did a Piedmont style of blues, but he used no picks, no finger picks, so his playing is very smooth. His whole demeanor and his spirit was very gentle, and but he had a wonderful sense of humor too that came out in his music a lot. So here's a little medley of Mississippi John Hurt's music. Woke up this morning. Woke up this morning. Woke up this morning with the Monday morning blues. I couldn't hardly find. I couldn't hardly find. I couldn't hardly find my Monday morning shoes. Lord, I asked that jury. Well, I asked that jury what might be my crime. Get a pick and shovel. Get a pick and shovel. Get a pick and shovel, let's go down in the mine. Blues all in my body, blues all in the air. Can't stay here no longer, I have no steamship fare. When my earthly trials are over, cast my body out in the sea. Save all the undertaker's bills, let the mermaids flirt with me. Richland Women Blues. Every Sunday morning, just watch me go. My wings are sprouted out, the preacher told me so. Hurry down, sweet daddy, come blowing your horn. If you come too late, said mama will be gone. Give me red lipstick and a bright pocket rouge. 80-cent barber haircut and a shot of good booze. Hurry down, sweet daddy, come blowing your horn. If you come too late, mama will be gone. The red rooster says cock-a-doodly-doo. The rich women say any dude will do. Hurry down, sweet daddy, come blowing your horn. If you come too late, so mama will be gone. I guess I should do a little something on the fiddle here. Besides this wonderful music playing and making tradition that we have here in Southwest Virginia, we also, there's an incredible instrument making skill that's developed here. You know, so these folks that for many years have made their music in a homemade sort of fashion. The instruments they made it on was the same way. This instrument is a beautiful fiddle made by Albert Hash, a real skilled craftsman who lived in White Top Mountain in Grayson County. And the wood on it is, the top is red spruce, which comes off of White Top Mountain, one of the two highest mountains in Virginia where you get such trees growing. They don't grow at the lower elevations. Only places in Virginia you can find red spruce. And so he was a fiddle maker as well as a wonderful fiddler. And he didn't like most people that make instruments, they put a number inside them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so they can keep track of how many they've made. Albert never did that for some reason or another, but he did name each fiddle. And the parchment paper in here, the name of this fiddle is Gratitude, because he boxed it up and glued the box together on Thanksgiving Day. And he has lots of wonderful names. The Singing Maiden is another one of his fiddles, and different ones. So, what I'll play for you here is this is a little bit of French-Canadian music. This is a pretty piece called Archie Menzies Reel. I don't have a clue as to who Archie Menzies was or is or what. If you're in the audience tonight, Archie, just please come up and introduce yourself. Be fun to do a little something in the way of spirituals and to complement Justin's set. I'll do one the second one that he did. We need to get together and play this one sometime. But before that, one that comes from a very early recording from the 1920s by wonderful bluesman named Blind Lemon Jefferson. And I have a real affection and a fascination for the early country blues, acoustic blues guitarists, many of whom were blind. And Blind Lemon Jefferson was an amazing guitarist, but really noted as one of he influenced a lot of singing, modern day blues singing styles. But this is just a catchy little spiritual number that Blind Lemon did years ago. This is not really reminiscent of his playing, but it's the same song. That's about as far as we can go.
Heroes, heroes, heroes from the dead. Heroes, heroes, heroes from the dead. Heroes, heroes, heroes from the dead. And the Lord shall bear my spirit home. Go tell to my disciples, meet me in Galilee. Go tell to my disciples, meet me in Galilee. Go tell to my disciples, meet me in Galilee. And the Lord shall bear my spirit home. One angel came from heaven and rolled away the stone. One angel came from heaven and rolled away the stone. One angel came from heaven and rolled away the stone. And the Lord shall bear my spirit home. Heroes, heroes, heroes from the dead. Heroes, heroes, heroes from the dead. Heroes, heroes, heroes from the dead. And the Lord shall bear my spirit home. Go tell to my disciples, go feed my tender lambs. Go tell to my disciples, go feed my tender lambs. Go tell to my disciples, go feed my tender lambs. And the Lord shall bear my spirit home. Heroes, heroes, heroes from the dead. Heroes, heroes, heroes from the dead. Heroes, heroes, heroes from the dead. And the Lord shall bear my spirit home. And the Lord shall bear my spirit home. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, and the walls came a-tumbling down. You can talk about your men of Gideon, you can talk about your men of Saul, but there's none like good old Joshua at the battle of Jericho.
the other things that the region is particularly known for is singing. There's been some remarkable, and in particular the ballad tradition that came here. Some wonderful folks like Horton Barker and Texas Gladden, and these folks have all been recorded by the Smithsonian and so forth, and they were from this region. So let me do just from the ballad tradition. This is from British ballad tradition, and the only thing you have to remember from your 4th grade history is the press gangs. The British Navy had the power to take able-bodied seamen wherever they might find them and press them into service. It was, I guess, an early form of the draft, if you will. But these press gangs, I think, had one thing that they would do is they find it was easy to press sailors at some of the local taverns. When somebody was pretty well lubed up, they were less likely to put up much of a fuss. And then they'd just wake up the next day and they'd be out at sea, and what are they going to do then? So you'll hear a reference to that. But this is a song called Willie Taylor, and it has a kind of a nice O. Henry twist ending to it. Willie Taylor and his youthful lover, full of mirth and loyalty. First they went to the church to be married. He was pressed and sent to sea. Diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die, diddle-do, diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die day. Diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die, diddle-do, diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die day. She dressed herself in men's apparel, got on board a ship of war. Pretty little fingers, long and slender, she gave them all a smear of tar. Diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die, diddle-do, diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die day. Once on board there was a skirmish, she did fight among the rest. A silver button came off her tunic and exposed her snow-white breast. Diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die, diddle-do, diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die day. Diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die, diddle-do, diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die day. Says the captain to this fair maid, what misfortune has brought you here? Says, I come in search of my true lover, who you pressed the other year. Diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die, diddle-do, diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die day. If you're in search of your true lover, pray come tell to me his name. Willie Taylor they do call him, but Fitzgerald is his name. Diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die, diddle-do, diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die day. Diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die, diddle-do, diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die day. If you're in search of Willie Taylor, he's not here. He has found him a rich young lady, worth 10,000 pounds a year. Diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die, diddle-do, diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die day. Diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die, diddle-do, diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die day. If you rise early in the morning, early at the break of day, there you'll spy your Willie Taylor, walking along with his lady gay. Diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die, diddle-do, diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die day. Diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die, diddle-do, diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die day. She rose early in the morning, early at the break of day. There she spied her Willie Taylor, walking along with his lady gay. Diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die, diddle-do, diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die day. You can tell this isn't going to come out too good, can't you? She called to her a brace of pistols that was brought at her command. There she shot her Willie Taylor, walking along with his lady grand. Diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die, diddle-do, diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die day. Diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die, diddle-do, diddle-doodle-dum, diddly-um-die day.
When the captain he did hear it of the deed that she had done, he made her a ship's commander over a vessel for the Isle of Man. Diddle doodle dum diddly die diddle doodle dum diddly die day. Diddle doodle dum diddly die diddle doodle dum diddly die day.
Well, let's see. This is a mountain tune that's really had a lot of well, I've kind of put a lot of blues influence or flavor into it, but it's an oft recorded piece called Darling Corey.
Dig a hole in the meadow, dig a hole in the cocoa ground. Dig a hole in the meadow, gonna lay down the Corey down. Dig a hole in the meadow, dig a hole in the cocoa ground. Dig a hole in the meadow, gonna lay down the Corey down. Wake up, darling Corey, what makes you sleep so sound? The revenue men are a-comin', gal, gonna tear your still house down. Wake up, darling Corey, wake up and fetch my gun. I never was a man for trouble, but I'm down before I run. Dig a hole in the meadow, dig a hole in the cocoa ground. Dig a hole in the meadow, gonna lay down the Corey down. Go away, darling Corey, quit hanging around my bed. Corn liquor has ruined my body, pretty women have killed me dead. And the last time I seen darling Corey, she was sitting on the bank of the sea. 2 pistols on her body and a manger on her knee. Dig a hole in the meadow, dig a hole in the cocoa ground. Dig a hole in the meadow, gonna lay down the Corey down. Dig a hole in the meadow, dig a hole in the cocoa ground. Dig a hole in the meadow, gonna lay down the Corey down. Dig a hole in the meadow, gonna lay down the Corey down. Dig a hole in the meadow, gonna lay down the Corey down.
We have a wonderful train history throughout this region, and trains we romanticize through folk songs and so forth, and some of them have not so good storylines. Wreck of the Old 97, Wreck of the 1256, and last but not least, the Wreck of the number 9, which you're about to hear. The only good news about this wreck is that it's entirely fictional.
On a dark the line stood a brave engineer with his sweetheart so dear and his orders to pull old number 9. She kissed him goodbye with a tear in her eye and the joy in his heart he couldn't hide. As he left her that night, his whole world seemed right, for tomorrow she'd be his loving bride. Wheels hummed a song as the train rolled along, and the black smoke came pouring from the stack, and his headlight agleam seemed to brighten his dream, for tomorrow he'd be a-comin' back. But as he turned round the hill, his brave heart stood still, for a headlight was shining in his face. Then he whispered a prayer as he threw on the air, for he knew this would be his final race. In the wreckage he was found, lying there on the ground, and he begged them to raise his weary head. As his breath slowly went, here's the message he sent to the maiden that he had planned to wed. There's a little white house I built for our own, for I knew we'd be happy, you and I. Dear, I leave it to you, for I know your heart is true, till we meet at the Golden Gate goodbye. Got time for a couple more, maybe. I'll do one more from the wonderful blues tradition that's influenced so much of the music of this region. This is we played a little bit of Mississippi John Hurt, gentle bluesman, and another fella, another blind guitarist from that time period named Blind Blake. And Blind Blake recorded from about 1928 to about 1932 and made some just amazing music. It's clear that he hung around a lot of piano players and the style of guitar playing that he did. And so I'll play for you a tune that Blind Blake played. And we don't know much about this guy. There's one photograph of him sitting in with a all dapper looking. He's got a suit on with velvet lapels and a bow tie, sitting there with his guitar and kind of a grin on his face, you know. And exactly where he was born is unknown. What happened to him after 1932, just speculation. No one knows where he came from, but he just had a huge influence on other musicians around him and since. So this is called Diddy Wah Diddy. Let me see here. Blind Blake, get after me if I play this thing out of tune with me. There's a great big mystery, and it sure is worrying me. This diddy wah diddy, this diddy wah diddy. I wish somebody would tell me what diddy wah diddy is. daddy want daddy is. I went out and I walked around. Someone yelled, say look who's in town. Mr. Diddy Wah Diddy, Mr. Diddy Wah Diddy. I wish somebody would tell me what Diddy Wah Diddy is. I went to church, put my hat on the seat. Lady sat on it, said, Daddy, you sure is sweet. Mr. Diddy Wah Diddy, Mr. Diddy Wah Diddy. I wish somebody would tell me what Diddy Wah Diddy is. Well, I said, sister, I'll soon be gone. Just give me that thing you setting on. My Diddy Wah Diddy, my Diddy Wah Diddy. I wish somebody would tell me what Diddy Wah Diddy is. Then I got put out of church 'cause I talk about Diddy Wah Diddy too much. My Diddy Wah Diddy, my Diddy Wah Diddy. I wish somebody would tell me what Diddy Wah Diddy is. That's all. What I'll conclude here with is a nice tour of fiddle music from 5 countries, I guess. And it's neat because you can really see how the musics from these different regions is so distinctive. And the 5 places are, we'll start out north of Scotland in a place called the Shetland Islands. This is a place where Scottish influence and Norse influence have mixed to create a very unique sounding type of music. And they have a fiddle tradition there that is only alive today because of a guy by the name of Tom Anderson, who played it and realized that the fiddle tradition of the Shetland Islands was dying out. And so he started schools to teach the youth there all the fiddle tradition there. And now there are some amazing Shetland fiddlers who play all over the world, probably thanks to Tom Anderson. So we'll play a little bit of that Scottish, Norse-influenced Shetland Islands music. And then we'll just hop down to Scotland, where they play what's called the strathspey. And this is the Scottish snap. It has and the jazz people sometimes say it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swang. I think the Scottish people's slogan should be, it's not the crap if it's not got that snap. Then we'll come down to Ireland, and you'll see of course, the wonderful jigs that are so emblematic of the musical traditions there. Then we'll jump all the way across the ocean and come to, again, to French Canada. They have these beautiful lilting fiddle tunes and fiddle music. And finally, right back here in the mountains of Appalachia, when you hear the fiddle tune up to play a good hoedown, you'll know you're right back home. So first, the Shetland Islands, followed by the Scottish snap.